I'm not sure if I want to keep this in the final video or not. Shop girl, Joan Crawford vibes. Now that story is on the internet. Hello and welcome to the Deco Minimalist. My name is Carrie and I create content here on YouTube all about vintage style, 1930s fashion, and glamour on a budget. And right now the sun is giving me film noir vibes and I'm filming later than usual, so we're just gonna have to roll with it. Either it'll be a cool effect or it'll just be weird and you just have to deal with it. So I'm doing what I gotta do to get a video out, guys. Okay, so really the video is going to be about kind of a combination of sewing and styling, which is always very fun. And I'm trying to remember what even possessed me to do this project. I had like a massive urge a few weeks ago to make a skirt. And that's unusual for me because when I don't usually wear skirts, and when I've done like past sort of wardrobe analyses, particularly like before I returned to vintage style, I knew that like skirts just weren't for me. But obviously, like as I just said a few weeks ago, I got like an urge to make one. And I think that's for a couple of reasons. And I will say, sort of for historical context, and I'm not sure if I want to keep this in the final video or not, the main reason why I have avoided skirts for so long, maybe like 5-6 years at this point, I suppose, was when I was out of college, like fresh out of college. I had moved cities, I was working a job, like a retail job, and I would walk to work. That was like part of my routine. And I was just sort of really getting into vintage, like hardcore at that time. And I had gotten this like A-line, sort of really silky skirt, like A-line skirt from the 70s, because it reminded me of a skirt that one would see in the 1940s. And it was a wrap skirt, okay? So you would like tie it and it's like a wrap, you know what a wrap skirt is. And I remember I was walking to work and I was walking specifically a crosswalk, and I could feel like something just felt kind of weird and the skirt had started to like unwrap. And all I can say is, thank God I was wearing a slip underneath, because that would not have been good. Also, thank God that I noticed before, things got out of control. And now that story is on the internet. But anyway, it was really embarrassing. And so that experience made me like very wary of skirts, like up until like literally maybe even today. And yeah, so I was like hesitant to really even make this, to follow through on this skirt idea. I realized that in my sort of everyday life right now, I tend to wear a lot of separates. Particularly in winter, it's just easy, it's comfortable, it's low stakes. Sometimes wearing a dress, particularly like as I'm still making 1930s like winter dresses for myself, it's just easier to put on like a linen top and a pair of pants for right now. Maybe that will change. I think for me sometimes it's a cyclical thing, but for right now what I wear in my everyday life is really tops and pants. And I wanted that to feel more vintagey. The pants that I wear the most often, it's getting too cold to wear them. They're like a thin black linen. And I wanted something to replace them that's more winter appropriate, but also is a little bit more vintagey, so that I feel a little bit more like, I'm doing the most, leaning into my preferred aesthetic a bit more and just sort of working on that. And I already knew, like I had in mind a particular skirt pattern that I had actually made last year as a mock-up. I was getting back into sewing last year, and a common piece of advice that beginner sewers receive when they're learning to sew clothes in particular is make something easy, like a pencil skirt. And so I made this pencil skirt from Decades of Style. It's from 1936, I believe, the pattern. And I remember really liking it, really liking how it looked on me, how I felt in the pattern, or like how I felt in the mock-up and the design. But I didn't end up kind of following through with the project because I just assumed that, oh, I'll make this skirt and then I'll never wear it because I don't wear skirts. Forward till a few weeks ago when I suddenly got this urge to make a skirt. basically, long story short, I've been kind of testing how to style this piece because it is quite high-waisted, which is what I love about it. And it's also quite long. I've been struggling a little bit to figure out like what tops to wear and things like that. But I think that I'm learning. I'm learning how to use the things that I have to work with this skirt. And pretty much, yeah, I wore this to work to work today. I walked to work in this skirt to my a job that I have, and it's about 2 miles there and back. So I walked 4 miles in this outfit, not with the shoes. I didn't walk 4 miles in the Claremonts. I have a pair of boots by Ms. Moose that I love that I wear for like when I have to walk long distances. And yeah, and I was hesitant like this morning to like put it on. I'm like, oh, am I really gonna put on like tights and a skirt? And of course it's like the coldest day we've had so far. So obviously I'm gonna walk, 2 miles in the skirt with my tights. I didn't intend like the wearing of the skirt and walking 4 miles in it to like align with me filming the intro to this video, but it has. And yeah, I think the past few hours have really changed my relationship to the skirt. I really love it. It's easy. It feels obviously it feels very 1930s. It's giving me like, shop girl. It's giving me secretary. It's giving me like working girl, career, making some money, shop girl, Joan Crawford vibes. I mean, hello. Yeah, this is definitely giving me Joan Crawford. If Joan Crawford like met up with like a young Lauren Bacall, I mean, of course, I want to start making like 1930s blouses and things like that. I'm gonna try and hold off on that because I still have 2 dresses to make and a few other projects that I probably won't get to until early next year. Basically, if you can't already tell, like, okay, this is a real talk. Wait. There's like a bunch of like stuff in the corner there. All of that is fabric, or it's like, well, it's fabric or like it's fabric scrap that I don't really know what to do with. And in order to like get these boxes out of my life, I have to, use the fabric for the purposes for which they were intended. So that's step number 1. And but hey, we may have some top sewing projects in the winter and the spring, so that would be interesting. And I've never made a top before in my life, so we'll see about that. But yeah, I just wanted to share how the project came out. I'm really pleased with it, pleasantly surprised, honestly. And yeah, I will link the pattern down below. I'll also link a review that Abby Cox, yes, the Abby Cox, the queen of historical dress, essay videos, and just fun content on YouTube. She did a review back when she worked with American Duchess. She did a review of a different skirt pattern that Decades of Style has, and I'll link that down below just to link it because it's fun. And yeah, I hope this was interesting, and let me know if you are a fan of skirts, sewing skirts, 1930s skirts, all of that stuff, and I will see you next week with another video. All right, bye.